Do you think over last 5, 6 years, whatever happened between India and China, keeping in view past tense, do you think both countries will able to revive their relation, would revive their cooperation?
I think for the Chinese, it's a very opportune moment. The ice had started breaking between China and India when President Xi Jinping and Mr. Narendra Modi met last year. So that had actually set the stage. It is also at the back of Chinese mind to ensure that this summit is successful and that they are able to send a very strong message, a united Asian message, if you can say so. I think India has very carefully weighed the pros and cons of what it needs to do. It has been talking of strategic autonomy. It has been talking about independent foreign policy. It has been repeatedly, after a long time, we keep hearing the word non-aligned status.
Can India exploit this meeting and target this meeting against Pakistan?
There is no way that India can influence China to veer away from Pakistan.
What interest China has in Afghanistan? Is China interested to see Afghanistan as a peaceful country?
Afghanistan is like a lock in this region. If it opens the doors for prosperity, for connectivity, for peace, for development, for civilizations to merge and grow.
Hello and welcome to Program Insight in V News English. Dear viewers, there are important developments, rather unexpected developments taking place in the region. Chinese foreign minister is on a visit to India, and during his official stay in New Delhi, Chinese foreign minister held meetings with top Indian leadership, including his counterpart Jaishankar, and also called on Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. During meeting with his counterpart Jaishankar, number of issues came under discussion. Both sides agreed to revive their relations, and China also agreed to cooperate with China in finding rare earth mineral. This is what a foreign news agency quoting top Indian sources said. So what message this meeting will send to the West? At a time, there are important geopolitical developments in the region. This meeting between Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi is being closely monitored and watched by the West. And soon after visiting New Delhi, Chinese Foreign Minister would be then on the next destination in Kabul, where on 20th of August, trilateral meeting among Afghanistan, Pakistan, and China is planned in Kabul. And on the same day, Chinese Foreign Minister will arrive in Islamabad, where on 21st of August, then China-Pakistan foreign minister level strategic dialogue will be taking place. But first, we will discuss the first part of this entire story, Chinese foreign minister visit to India, keeping in view past 10 relations. Will this visit will break ice? And Chinese foreign minister also hinted during meeting with the Chinese leader that Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be warmly welcomed in Beijing on 31st of August at Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit, which is taking place in China, Tianjin, hosted by China. So discuss this all, strategic issues, strategic aspects of this, not only this visit, the other developments for 20th and 21st of August, and what implications these all meetings, what messages, what signaling. We are fortunate to have with us seasoned analyst, former ambassador of Pakistan to People's Republic of China, Madam Naghmana Hashmi. And Madam Naghmana Hashmi has worked on senior positions, not only at Foreign Ministry, and in addition to China, she had also served in the past as Pakistan's ambassador to European Union and Belgium. in Brussels and also served as Pakistan's ambassador to Ireland. And she keeps very strong eye on international developments, particularly developments in the region. Very warm welcome, Ambassador Naghmana Hashmi, to our program.
Thank you very much. I'm delighted to be part of your program. Thank you for inviting me.
So, ma'am, first we will discuss this the hurdle in New Delhi, the strategic dialogue between China and India today in New Delhi. Of course, as far as bilateral relations between China and any other country are concerned, that's their bilateral track between India and China. So Pakistan also enjoys very good relations. So Pakistan would not be making any comment on whatever happened between China and India. But of course, Pakistan is watching these developments very closely. And the West is also watching these developments very closely. So do you think over last 5-6 years, whatever happened between India and China, do you think the pledges which have been made today by both foreign ministers, the Chinese foreign minister, Mr. Wang Yi, and Indian foreign minister, and then Chinese foreign minister also held meeting with Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Keeping in view past tense, do you think both countries will able to revive their relation, would revive their cooperation, as China also promised to look into Chinese rare earth minerals need?
Thank you very much. I think you have sort of packed a lot of questions in one question. And as far as this visit is concerned, you cannot actually analyze it or look at it as a standalone visit. It is a part of a number of developments both in the region and internationally that make this particular visit very significant. Legally, if you look at it, or from the perspective of their relationship, this is basically a visit for border discussions to resolve their border issues, and they have been having these dialogues for decades now, and they sometimes there are encouraging signs, and sometimes they go into a cold freeze. So the reason why Mr. Wang Yi is in India is for basically border talks. So he's heading the border talks. But at the back of Chinese minds is also the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit that is expected on the 31st of August, 30th, 31st in Tianjin in China. And this summit, China is hosting at a very, very important juncture in its history and in the it's a very important moment for the entire world because things are in a flux. But there are some clear indications of where this flux is actually moving and where it might finally lead the world. So naturally for China, it is very, very important to show the strength of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization and to show the strength of Chinese leadership, particularly in the in this region, particularly the Eurasian region. And that is why you also have to understand that this is the first SEO summit being held in Tianjin in China after the Chinese and the Russians have signed the all-weather strategic cooperation agreement for all times to come. So it's a very, very different ball game that you will see, a very different dynamic that you will see at the Shanghai summit. And it will be a long time before the rotating presidency comes back to China. So I think it is also at the back of Chinese mind to ensure that this summit is successful and that they are able to send a very strong message, a united Asian message, if you can say so. And for them, I think for the Chinese, it's a very opportune moment. The ice had started breaking between China and India when President Xi Jinping and Mr. Narendra Modi met last year. So that had actually set the stage for progressive improvement of relationship, thawing of the tense relationship that were there after the Gulman conflict in the Himalayas. And it is also, you have to keep in mind what is happening between US and China, what is happening between US and Russia, and particularly what is happening between the US and India.
India, that is significant.
Was basically a strategic partner of the US. And I think India had begun to imagine that it was absolutely sort of imperative for the US to keep on keep India in a very tight bear hug, and that they were going to continue to, they thought that the US needed India so desperately in its competition with the Chinese that India could get away with murder. And you saw, and that gave them the confidence of basically double playing with the Americans in the Ukraine conference, double playing the Russians also when it came to Quad, because in the Quad, when the Russians raised their concerns with the Indians, they said that they were joining Quad for economic reasons. And then we saw that it was really not for economic reasons. It became a military pact. So the Russians were a little upset, and so were the Indians, the Americans, But I think after the events of the last 3 months and the way Mr. Modi, President Trump has handled India, and the kind of very strong stick kind of an attitude that President Trump is showing towards India, basically whipping it, saying, in other words, what he's saying, you're either with us or against us, like, the famous words of Mr. Bush also. But India, I think, has digested it. India, I could be wrong, but in my humble opinion, I think India has very carefully weighed the pros and cons of what it needs to do. It has been talking of strategic autonomy. It has been talking about independent foreign policy. It has been repeatedly, after a long time, we keep hearing the word non-aligned status. And it has now made a strategic decision. And I think India has decided that it would be much better to sort of hedge its bets with the Chinese and the Russians rather than go and get bulldozed by the Americans. And I think that economy has a lot to do with it. They are the fourth largest economy now. And I think Mr. Modi has done his homework very well. Or the Indian government has done their homework very well. The main concern or the main demand of President Trump is basically to cut links with the Russians. Both military
Indian-Russian links.
and economic.
Exactly.
Indian-Russian links is to cut, they're demanding of India to cut its economic links, to stop buying the oil, to stop, because they feel that when India buys Russian oil, it is helping Russia carry on the war in Ukraine. And they also do not want them to buy Russian military equipment. But I think if you look at the economics of it, I'm not an economist, but what I have read says that by buying oil from the Russians, the Indians, I think, saved around about $14-15 billion on that. Now, if you look at the Trump sanctions, they will have an impact of about $9 billion. So now, if you look at the difference, Indians are banias, as we all know. They still make a profit of $5 billion, which is not much, but it is still significant. But on the larger strategic plan, or on the larger strategic picture, if you look at it from a wider angle, I think they know that BRICS, particularly with China, Russia, with India, with South Africa, with Brazil, is emerging as a very, very strong bloc. And they are now seriously threatening the dominance of dollar. Russia has already started trading in rubles. China trades in yuan, and it also has its own clearing system that they have established since last 3-4 years. So they completely bypass the SWIFT system. And it's not only that, but the Chinese are also helping the African countries as far as the U.S. U.S. tariffs are concerned, because what the Chinese are doing is Chinese have told the Africans, whatever you used to sell to the Americans, give them to us. We will buy them off you. They're absorbing some of it in their local market, and the rest of it, they're upgrading, and with value addition, they are again sending it to other destinations other than the US. So they've done their homework pretty well. And so I feel that India thinks that it has gained whatever it could from the Americans. They have, they've got the nuclear technology, but their traditional, it's a civilizational state. You can't forget that. And they're very shrewd people. I mean, we may not like them, but they're shrewd people.
Exactly.
So I think in their calculation, we have our own differences with them. That's another story. But I think in their calculations, it would suit them better to not really change ships, but wear quite distinctively towards BRICS, with China and Russia and Brazil and South Africa, because they are very, very strong. Because as I was reading, as I said, I'm not an economist, but I was reading a couple of days ago that the BRICS, BRIC countries, their share of international trade is now 60%, and the US is only 29%. So I think there is a lot of sense, if you put yourself in Indian shoes, to carefully wear towards its traditional ally, which is Russia. And by wearing towards Russia, they naturally wear towards the Chinese. The Chinese also understand, and they're very sagacious people. They're probably the wisest people in the world as far as, politics and geostrategic thinking is concerned. And they feel that, yes, they have their differences, and they're also now confident. So I think in their private meetings, it cannot be ruled out that Wang Yi told them, look, to the Indians that, you can't win from China, neither economically nor technologically, and nowhere near militarily. Exactly. So come to your senses. And let's join hands. And we know what the problem in this region is. So, and that is why it's a very, very important phrase that Wang Yi has used in his talks with the Indian leadership. And I think that one 3-letter phrase is the key to everything. Wang Yi said that India and China need to have a correct strategic understanding. And it would be beneficial for both
True.
to cooperate rather than look at each other as enemies.
Enemies,
They
our
were saying,
rival, our threat.
yes,
Exactly. This was very,
exactly.
very
So they're
important.
saying, let's get. So I think this is a very, very important phrase that he has used, because Chinese don't say things directly. They send their messages through phrases, through idioms, through their Chinese stories and proverbs. And I think the soul of Wang Yi's visit lies in this one line.
Ma'am, as you discussed all dimensions of this visit, India, United States ties, then India, Russia ties, and how United States, of course, previously warned India to stay away from buying Russian oil or face consequences. India did face the consequences and got extra tariffs. Now, discussing this visit, this Chinese foreign minister visit, and meeting with the top Indian leadership with Pakistani angle, China is a strong ally, strong friend. And in Markai Haq, of course, there was strategic support, diplomatic support by Chinese government, Chinese leadership to Pakistan. So, what do you think? Will be anything that India may exploit, because China cannot do anything out of this meeting against Pakistan, keeping in view the fact that it's traditional ally and strong friend of China. So, what do you think? Can India exploit this meeting and target this meeting against Pakistan?
Look, I've been following China for 25 years. I've had 2 long postings in China. And my personal understanding is, and what I have witnessed and what I have read, I think there is no way.
There is no way.
There is no way that India can influence China to veer away from Pakistan.
From Pakistan, exactly.
Yeah, they can't. And because it is not, it is the vision of the Chinese founding fathers. Mao said in his first speech after the establishment of New China that Pakistan was China's window to the northwest.
Oh.
And
Pakistan's window to the northwest.
Pakistan is China's window to the northwest. And
exactly.
We are the only corridor that provides them direct access to the Indian Ocean. Secondly, I think they understand the Indians very, very well. And if the choice comes between India and Pakistan as a strategic ally, yes, they've always had good relations with the Indians. They have tremendous trade with the Indians. They, despite their border disputes and all that, very cordial relation. They have tens of different levels of dialogues, strategic dialogue, and foreign minister level dialogue, head of state level dialogue, and a lot of currents of dialogue. There are dozens of them, but still, they do not consider India as a strategic partner. India is a strategic partner of the Russians. They were never the strategic partners of the Chinese. But now Russia and China have made up, and they have put their differences aside. So now it's a Russia-China. So I think it is also the Russian influence on the Indians that may put some sense into the Indian thinking that it would be much better to stay with the rising powers and to stay with, because no matter what we say, India is a big power, economically, physically, population-wise. It's a big power. And with China, Russia, and India, strong powers in in Asia, from the platform of SCO, they can actually send a very strong message to the extra regional powers that try to create problems and difficulties in this region. And I think that is why the Indians have also realized Americans have not really won any war ever. All their engagements have resulted in defeat. And they have also very carefully seen how the US has treated its strategic partners one after the other. So I think the world is beginning to realize also, and India is particularly realizing, because India has changed. I mean, it has a big ego. It always had a big ego. But now it has reasons to have a big ego and get up. And so I think they have decided, if not to outright confront the US, but to give them a very strong signal that we will not be bullied. Because in response to the tariffs, the Americans thought that the Indians would lower the prices of their exports, so that the brunt of the tariffs would be borne by the Indians. But that didn't happen because India made a strategic decision that it will not reduce its export prices, not by a cent. So with the result, the impact of those extra tariffs are being borne by the US consumers. So I think they're playing their cards very, very wisely. And but in international politics, you can never really say things with extreme, precision, or can't really predict what will happen tomorrow morning. Secondly, I think they also feel the Chinese definitely have, you can see from their actions. They have not reacted to Trump's bravado. They have not reacted to the sanctions in any way. They're quiet. They're quietly doing their work, and they're winning. So I think Indians have also decided that we go back to our traditional strategic allies, because this is not the Russia of 25 years ago. It is on the rise.
It's on the rise. Another important aspect of this. Yes, another important aspect of Chinese foreign minister's South Asian visit is after Delhi. While your interview will be over on air, definitely tomorrow, the Chinese foreign minister would be in Kabul. And there is a trilateral meeting among Chinese, Pakistani, and Afghan foreign minister. What interest China has in Afghanistan? Is China interested to see Afghanistan as a peaceful country? If so peaceful, then is China interested in Afghan mines and coal mines and its minerals? What is interest? Of course, one common interest is there that every country, including Pakistan, Iran, United States, Russia, China, want peace and stability in Afghanistan. Internationally and regionally, all countries want that the terror groups which are operating from Afghan soil, that must be eliminated by the Afghan regime. Afghan regime headed by Afghan Taliban must take action. That is another dimension. Everyone is agreed on that. So what could be, other than this, what could be Chinese growing interest in Afghanistan, keeping in view that since May 21, this is the second trilateral meeting of Pakistan, Afghanistan, and China taking place in Kabul tomorrow?
Again, you can't really take it in a smaller perspective. You have to take a larger, broader picture of where China is going. China is now almost, at the finish line in attaining the rejuvenation of the motherland by the time new China becomes 100 years old. And one of their basic philosophies is that you cannot progress and you cannot have peace if there's disturbance in your neighborhood. And Afghanistan is a very key country. In fact, if you read the older geostrategic analysts and if you read the books, they clearly say that Afghanistan is like a lock in this region. If it opens the doors for prosperity, for connectivity, for peace, for development, for civilizations to merge and grow. And if it is locked, which means if it's in trouble or the access is closed, then the four subregions of Asia suffer. And then you have to understand that it is on the border of the Chinese Xinjiang province, which is the largest province, which has the largest amount of rare earths, and they have their nuclear programs there, and this, that, and the other. And this is also the province from where the Muslim provinces start. And because of its strategic location, like we have had problems in our strategic regions like KPK and Balochistan, there are extra-regional powers that have created problems that sort of encourage dissent, that, write all kinds of false reports and whatever. So for them to have a fundamentalist kind of terrorist organizations in Afghanistan, they can harm China as far as their western provinces are concerned. And it is a strategically very important region. So it is of utmost importance for China to ensure that there is peace and stability in this region. And they have, you would recall, that throughout the period, all the Western embassies closed, everybody left, and the only three countries who did not leave Afghanistan under any regime was China, Pakistan, and Turkey. Even when this time the Taliban were taking over and the Americans these three countries were there. And China has been involved in a very discreet, very quiet, but in a massive way in the development process of Afghanistan. For a long time, they have been, for decades, they've been working on mines, on railways, on hospitals, on construction of things. So it is for them an existential issue, so to say, one of the main issues. So that is one thing. Second, because they do not want this extremism, Muslim ideology, the negative kind of ideology to permeate through their Muslim majority provinces. Secondly, China, it now sees itself not only as a major regional power, but also a major international player. And therefore, if you look at the Chinese diplomacy, it has subtly changed. It has evolved for itself a niche in conflict resolution. They went and they got the Hamas, the Palestine groups together. They sort of got us and the Afghans together in a trial.
And then Iran and Saudi Arabia brought them on negotiations.
Iran and Saudi Arabia, it is a very, very big successor. So I think slowly and gradually, it is beginning to take its responsibility as a responsible, already the biggest regional state, but also as the, next superpower, but a responsible superpower and not a jingoistic kind of a superpower. So that is why I think it's very important The economic side is, of course, very important. Afghanistan has huge deposits of rare earths and oils and other minerals that, of course, China needs. But it's also a very, very important link joining all of Central Asia, which is of great significance to the Chinese. Chinese are already totally connected with all these Central Asian states with pipelines and oil pipelines and gas pipelines and railways. And the only stumbling block in this connectivity now is Afghanistan. And for CPAC and BRI to really take off, the development and peace of Afghanistan is extremely important. So I think it's a bigger game. They would not want it to be restive and once again become a hub of Western intrigue and Western spies and contractors and whatnot. So I think it suits China very, very much. And of course, it suits us also because our sovereignty, our development, our peace, our security, our terrorism, it is dependent on peace in Afghanistan because most of it is emanating from Afghanistan. So I think China is playing slowly, preparing itself and coming into that mode strategically to really sort of prep themselves up to take on that role of a good superpower.
So finally, we are close to the program. On the last leg of his visit, Chinese foreign minister will be in Islamabad on 21st of August. So as a former ambassador, as a strategic analyst, precisely tell us heavy agenda awaits for Chinese foreign minister in Islamabad. These all developments that you discussed in the region, ties with India, Afghanistan, these all ties will be, of course, discussed, but primarily it will be foreign ministers level strategic dialogue. What do you think? Many policymakers will be watching this program. What Pakistan should discuss in strategic dialogue with China that is so far missing?
To begin with, strategic dialogue is established platform
mechanism, exactly.
Mechanism that's been going on for years. So, and it's regularly held. In addition to that, our foreign minister meet dozens of times during the year, and we consult with them, they consult with us because of the nature of our relationship. So it is another strategic dialogue. But again, I would say, like his visit to India, this is coming at a very strategic. Looking at it from the Chinese perspective, they would want to hear Pakistan reassure them that their interests in the region and in Pakistan will not be compromised on the altar of US. Right?
Chinese will assure Pakistan that
they would like Pakistan to reassure them.
Okay.
I think they would want to hear from Pakistan that, we want to have good relations with everybody. You've always encouraged us to have good relations with India and with Russia, with everybody in the world, including with the USA. But I'm sure that the Chinese are a little concerned at how the US is once again quoting us. So I think they may want to caution us that we have been quoted once too many times. And we have then been divorced once too many times also. So we need to be careful. And of course, they have spent, they've invested 77 years in this relationship now. Now, we have also invested in this relationship. They are very sure, like we are very sure, that and time is an evidence of this. It's over and over. It has been proved that when it comes to our relationship with China, we have very successfully managed to ensure that our strategic compass has always been oriented
on China. Thank you so much indeed.
And under
Yes.
I'll just end with one
No
sentence, that
circumstances.
under no circumstances have we ever, even once, compromised our relationship, even when we were non-NATO allies, even when we were in SEATO and CENTO. When it came to China, we flatly told everybody else that, that is where our strategic interests are, and we are not going to divert. Because
Thank
if
you.
that was not the case, we wouldn't have been a nuclear power today. We wouldn't have had that kind of military prowess and professionalism that we have today, and those capabilities where we are
All
ourselves
given by
making
China, of
planes
course.
and,
Thank you so much indeed, Ambassador retired Naghmana Hashmi, for your strategic analysis on Chinese Foreign Minister visit to India, upcoming visit to Afghanistan, and later to Pakistan. Dear viewers, till our next program, goodbye and Khuda Hafiz.